Nothing will shake you to your core like hearing the words, "You have cancer," and then having to hear it twice. Today, I'm here with Corey Luckow, a woman who did exactly that. She came back stronger, built a thriving business as a top performer, navigated through toxic relationships, and mastered boundaries that allowed her to grow without burning out. If you're ready to hear how she did it, you're going to want to hear this podcast. Corey, you faced something that would shake most people, and I'm sure it shaked you, but you not only had to deal with having cancer once, but you dealt with it twice. Can you take us back to the moment when you first got your diagnosis and how that changed your life that day?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it all started when I was 20, and I was getting married. My new soon-to-be mother-in-law noticed a mole on the back of my leg. It was very small. And she said, that kind of looks funny. You should get that checked. And I just barely thought anything of it. But she was kind of intent about it. Like, you should definitely just go get it checked out. So me being, wanting to follow the rules and make her happy, I went and got it checked. Really, of course, didn't think about it. They removed it. And I remember we were sitting at our little kitchen table. We had just gotten married. We were 21 and 23, so tiny little babies that just got married. And we were going to go see my mother and father-in-law. We're going to go have dinner over there. I got a call from the dermatologist, and she said, "Hey, are you sitting down?" And I said, "Yeah, why?" Like, it didn't even cross my mind that something could be a problem. Mm-hmm. She said, "Hey, that mole we removed, it's melanoma. And, anything oma is, probably cancerous." So I knew that, but I didn't really know, what that meant. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think it was going to be good. So you take one step at a time. When you get a diagnosis, it obviously just puts this deep pit in your stomach. You're like, okay, well, what does that mean? There's so many questions, and 1% are answers. And then it's constant questions. What does this mean? How bad is this? Should I be concerned? So, you go into the appointments just asking as much as you can, but we're young, and we found out that it was stage 3. So that means it had spread to my lymph nodes.
Real quickly, because I don't understand this, I'm sorry to interrupt you. How do they know that? From that one test, or did they have to bring you in to get more tests to figure out that it had spread?
Yeah, good question. So they do something where they're testing called a sentinel lymph node.
Okay.
So I haven't talked about this for so long, but they inject something into that site where they removed, and it feels like sand going into your skin, and it flows into your body. I'm not a medical professional, so I don't know the science behind it, but essentially they find out that it has spread to your lymph nodes through that test.
But was that test done after your diagnosis? Or?
Yes.
Okay, so you got diagnosed with melanoma. Mm-hmm. They call you back. You do this test.
Yep.
And now you're sitting there, and you're weeks even after that, you're finding out that, okay, it's in your lymph nodes.
Yeah, I think people don't understand that when you're diagnosed. It's a very long process of finding what's the next step, what's the next thing, and you're always just putting one foot in front of the other. You can't really, when people have asked me that are going through cancer or their family member is now, how did you deal with it? You literally just have to put one foot in front of the other. You can't overthink it and constantly stress or look up anything on Google. That is what you definitely don't want to do.
Oh, I'd be on ChatGPT,
yes.
Claude.
Don't ever do that.
Don't do that. Okay.
Don't do that. It will give you the worst case scenario.
Yes.
So anyways, that's...
Did you do that?
Of course.
Yes.
But that's why I tell people don't do it.
Okay.
But I think that was probably May of 2008. In June of 2008 was on the 23rd is our anniversary, and that's when I had my first surgery they removed a big 3-inch circle of my leg and all my lymph nodes on my left side. And so
how many lymph nodes are on your left side?
I think it's between 10 and 20. I don't know.
They removed them?
They removed them all.
Okay.
Yeah. So the goal is so that, no more cells can be transported from your lymph system to other organs.
Wow, okay.
So melanoma spreads to your lungs, your brain, most commonly. So once it gets in your lymph system, it can just start traveling.
Oh, wow, okay.
So they had found that it had gone to my lymph nodes, and other scans happened that revealed nothing. It luckily had not gone to any other organs at that point. But in, I think it was maybe August or September, I started the chemo treatment that they put you on. So it was, and this was right as I'm going into my senior year of college also.
Okay.
So newly married, cancer diagnosis. I'm going to see if I can make it through my senior year. And so the way that the treatment is, it's a year long. And the first month is every single day you go in for 3 hours to get your infusion so 5 days a week for a month. And then you do 2 days a week for the rest of the year. And you administer those yourself.
Because you're at this point, stage 3.
Stage 3.
And I want to go back. So you hear the diagnosis and you're taking step-by-steps, but when you find out it's stage 3, obviously they give you like, here's everything you're going to do. And that is that enough to shift your focus from thinking, I'm at stage 3? Or was you know what I mean? Like, this is dangerous. This is like a dangerous place to be in life. How did you get around that in your head? Was it just refocusing on the steps that you need to take and putting everything there? And how, like, when you were thinking through your mortality, was there an acceptance, or was there never like, no, I'm going to survive this?
I think it was probably back and forth any given day. But in general, I was probably thinking, I got this. I'm just going to do whatever I need to do to knock this out. At that time, when I looked up my how survival rate at that time was, I had a 25% chance of living 5 more years. So I was like,
and what's a 75?
That you're not alive.
You just yeah. So you were, wow.
Yeah. So, and that's why I tell people not to Google anything, because that's really scary. And I remember we had been married for a year. I had my my surgery on our first anniversary, and he's 23, and I remember telling him, you don't have to stay.
You gave him an out.
Yeah, I was like, you don't have to do this. Like, you could have a life. Like, this is going to be a rough road. And he was like, no, I'm not going to.
Did you know he would say that?
No, I think I was hoping he would say that, but obviously, you don't want to.
Giving him the out, yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I don't want to take you too far off track, but I went through a traumatic situation where I needed brain or surgery in my head, and I can't imagine going through that today. But like when you're that age, when you're in your 20s, you're like, it's a weird, like, I was like, let's get this over with so I can get back to work, or let's get this over with. So, but today I think I would have a different, thought process. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like if you had to go through that today?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked a lot about it, that we're really grateful we almost like did it reverse. Some people have a very stable, normal life until they hit their older years, and then they face all of that. So we kind of did it the opposite. We went through the hardest thing first, but it really brought us together, bonded us, because it was just kind of like trauma bonding. Like, we only had each other. I mean, we had friends and family, but that was even before like GoFundMe or anything. Like, and no one knows what to say to a younger person going through cancer, it seems like. So you end up consoling them. Like, the amount of people I said, it's okay, I'll be fine, and they're the one crying, like, that was hard because no one really knew what to do with us and how to support us, I think. And I don't think I would either. It's not anyone's fault. I think that it's just hard, It's hard to know what to do or what to say. But I'm really grateful that we went through it. It made us super strong. And our relationship is one of the things I'm the most proud of. So
amazing. So you go through this, you find out that you're going to go through this treatment. And so how long did that take? So you finish the treatment out, right?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Yeah, I do a year. At that time, that type of treatment basically makes you feel like you have the flu for a year. So you have tons of medications you're on to just help you feel normal. We also moved to Tennessee for a job that he had at that time, so we were completely removed from any
family.
And
At this point, you had to find a different center to be going through the treatment.
They shipped it all to me.
Oh, they shipped it all to you. Okay.
And then I just had to give myself the shots. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think about this time a lot that I think everyone else, all our friends were just, they're still in college or they're starting their early jobs, they're traveling. Like that was not our 20s. Mm-hmm. We really didn't have that. We were fighting other battles.
It was a financial burden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one time someone said every time I had one of these treatments, and this is the second time they told me this, so I don't know what that first one was, but it was like $90,000 every time I had a treatment. And so I had insurance, so that was great. But we still had bills and things like that.
Absolutely,
and
co-pays, you have all that stuff.
Really set us back, like a brand new newlywed couple, and we have thousands of dollars in medical bills to keep organized, to make sure they're paid. Like I grew up so fast.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. I really do. Not that I ever wish cancer on anybody, but I do think that there's a resilience that was learned from it. So what started off as just something on the back of your leg turned into this, stage 3 cancer. Mm-hmm. When do you find out if you're in remission? How did that process go?
You go for scans every 6 months at first, and then they move it to a year. So you do blood work, you do CT scans, they look at your chest, your brain. So, it wasn't really common at that time I don't think Instagram or Facebook was big yet, but I did kind of know of a couple people that were also going through this, and those people that I knew had passed away, like within a year. And they were my age, with the same exact type. And so I knew it was like, it could go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go through it. Was there ever a moment that as they're going through these that they say, okay, it's dormant, you're in remission? Did you ever get to that part, or did it come back at that point?
So, no, I think I was trying to have those conversations with doctors, and they're very hesitant to say, you're good. I remember having a conversation with a doctor asking him if I was okay to have kids. Mm-hmm. And he was encouraging. He's like, live your life. Don't worry about this. You're young, you're healthy, you're not in this. Because I was like, these are the statistics that I looked up. And he's like, you don't fall in that category. Mm-hmm. So they do say at 10 years out, you're good, pretty much.
Okay.
Things are much better as far as statistically if it's going to come back. And oddly enough, at 10 years is when it came back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You were like right out of the woods.
Yeah.
Were you just before that thinking like I'm here? It's like I'm almost done with this.
Yeah, because I was also looking at life insurance at that time. You're eligible for life insurance again after 10 years, and I was literally like looking at policies.
Oh wow! So you go in for like a scan.
So the way I found out was there was like this little bump right on my leg where it's on this left leg. So I had noticed this little bump, and it didn't even connect in my head that it could be related. It just kind of felt like a little bit like a bug bite, but like bigger and deeper almost.
And not going away.
Not going away. And then it wasn't really growing or anything. It just wasn't going away. So I went and had it checked, and it was was one of those cells, I think, that just got stuck down there and had slowly grown over time. So had to do another surgery and another year of treatment after that.
And then?
And that was 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
So no trace since then.
No trace.
Are you remission? What is it? What do they call this?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah. And this time I knew I would have a lot of time on my hands, and I didn't want to spend it, scrolling or just waste that time, because you spend 3 hours in a chair, getting your treatment twice a week for a year. And so this is when I got my mortgage license, because I was, I apparently like really difficult things and combining them at the same time.
Yes.
And so that's when I got my license.
How did you find out about the mortgage business to begin with?
A friend of mine had gotten into it and just said, hey, you should check it out. Mm-hmm. And literally had no idea this job even existed.
Where are you living at now?
It was in Tucson.
You were living in Tucson, and you get your license, and then you finish treatment?
Finished treatment in March of 2019, and that's exactly when I started.
When you started, okay. Now, since then, you've had kids. Or did you have kids? When did you first start having kids?
I had kids in between that time.
Okay.
So
even while you're going through this treatment and stuff, you had kids?
It was in between. So it was after I'd finished the first treatment. I had my son when I was 25, my daughter when I was 29.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you got diagnosed second time?
When I was 31.
And then you got your mortgage license when you went through all that. Yep. And then was it scary now having kids the second time around? Like, I want to go back to that moment when you find out that you have it, because now you have kids, the stakes are higher. How did you feel back then? Like, what was the thought process? Or was there this, I've already done it once, let's go. Like, what was your mindset then?
It was way worse.
Way worse, yeah.
Because then you see these little kids, you're like, I have to stay alive for these kids, And it really motivated me to make sure I did everything possible. I made sure I ate well. I looked into juices and all this stuff. Anything health-wise that I could control, I did. Because I was like, I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old that depend on they need their mom.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you go through one of the hardest things, and you're now going through it the second time. Did you ever talk to them about it?
No, we haven't really talked to them about it. Yeah. And the reason was that I didn't want there to be a moment when they're older that someone's talking about the grandparent that died from cancer, and they knew that word, that also my mom had cancer, and ever have like a fear that something would happen to me.
So, okay. So let me ask it this way. When you think about where everything that people go through in cancer, outside of just the physical, like, it is hard on your body, right? What the radiation and the chemotherapy, everything that you go through. And then there's side effects. Did you lose your hair? Did you go through any of that, or were you lucky to avoid that?
The first time my hair definitely thinned out and I cut it short. But the second time it didn't. So I was part of, I think, a trial, and I think it's a double-blind study, so I'll never know what I actually got.
Oh, wow.
But I did not lose my hair with that
Well, lucky be that then you didn't have to explain that to your kids either. Okay, so that helped.
Yeah, and so the way that we've kind of framed it for them is that I found and it's funny, I don't know why we called it this, but we said it's like a little blueberry that's under my skin that we have to go get it removed. And so, they know I have scars on my legs, and they've asked what those are. Like, I just had something under my skin. I had to get it removed. So not to downplay it, but I really don't want them to live in fear. That's really big for me. And I think they know I do everything I possibly can to live a really full life and do a lot of fun things and make sure this life that we get is the best it can be. And that's where all that comes from. So I'm sure eventually they will connect the dots. And there's been times where something in the mail has come in from the cancer center or something like that. Yeah. And my daughter has connected. And it's just not something I want them to feel fear about.
Yeah, absolutely. And how old are your kids again?
13 and 9.
Oh, wow. Like, that's such an age to know and have an awareness of, like, cancer. It's in movies. It's,
Yeah.
So then, before we pivot, something came to mind that I want you to help me through. I have a friend who is going through something similar now, and I don't know what to say to them. Like, I don't know how to, like, I'm honestly saying, like, I think this happens to a lot of people where they don't know what to say. And, what would you recommend? Like when you were at your lowest moment in this, did you want to be, and part of it for me is like when I'm in my lowest of low moments, I want to be left alone. Mm-hmm. Like I want people to leave me alone. Like I don't want people to call me. I don't want to talk about it. Like I'm working through it. Mm-hmm. But I do think that by not doing it, it's also like, it's a double-edged sword because I'm like, well, why didn't you call me? Mm-hmm. So what would you say to somebody who's struggling with like, how do I talk to Corey? Because I don't like, she probably doesn't want to think about this right now. And now I'm going to call her and be like, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. It's just it's a weird thing to do, but I think I struggle with it. What would you recommend for somebody like me who's like in that space?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of amazing people that just showed up for me. They, even if I were to say, I don't want to talk or I don't want visitors or whatever, they would show up anyways. Just be there in whatever capacity and be present. And if they want to talk about it, then great. If not, then let's talk about something else. Let's watch a movie. Let's whatever, just show up and be there in the way that, it works for them. Okay. And I think when I finished my treatment the second time, it was my last day, I had a group of 6 or 7 girls that came surprise me. They blew bubbles everywhere. Mm-hmm. They rang the bell with me. And that was huge. I didn't expect it. Just those things where you show up big for someone mm-hmm. and help them just feel loved.
Good.
Because there's times where you feel like, maybe this is my time. And you're like, maybe no one would notice if I'm gone. And do people really want me? Or those thoughts are real.
Those are real, yeah.
Those are real. And if you have people in your life showing up and be like, I love you. I am so happy you're here. You're the best. Just reassuring someone, because I think the mindset of a lot of people going through cancer, especially when you're in a cancer center, it's a lot of older people. Everyone's pretty sad. And so you need the people in your life that are going to tell you, like, it's going to be okay. We love you. You've got this, because the mind has so much power. And I think a big part of why I'm still here is because I just continued to believe, and I had people telling me, you're going to beat this. You got this, and then you believe it. And the second that you, I think, switch over to, I don't have this, I don't need to be here, I shouldn't be here, your mind and your body can feel that. And I think that it takes signals from that. I really, truly do.
So good. Yeah, it helps. It helps understand it. And so no matter what, if I'm hearing you right, is just show up, always show up.
Yeah, show up.
It's better to show up than to not show up.
100%.
And yeah, that's great advice. So at this moment, most podcasts would have a sponsor. I don't have one, but I am going to ask you this. If you like this podcast, just take a picture of it on your phone, post it to Instagram, and tag Corey and I, and we'll reshare it for you, but it'll let us know that you like the content we're delivering to you. That's my only ask today. Thank you. So I'm going to pivot to now, like, coming into the mortgage industry. Because some of the things that you've done have been remarkable on that side of it. You've become a top performer. Congratulations, by the way. And I know you feel like there's a grind that's still happening and there's places you want to go, but it's really important sometimes to just take a step back and say, okay, I went through that. And maybe it's not where I want it to be, but I'm actually doing better than most. And I think that you being a top producer is a big deal for you. So congratulations on that. But one of the things that I noticed about you is there's people in our listeners' lives who will try to hold them back, whether it's a boss, whether it's a partner, whether it's a friend. It could even be a family member. How do you recognize, and you and I have talked about this kind of on the side, but how do you recognize toxic relationships, and what do you do to protect yourself from them and your business?
Yeah, I think, going through what I've been through, I know that I'm really protective of the people that I allow into my world. And
has it always been that way?
It has not always been that way. And I think there's been a big shift in that, because life is too short. It is too short and too fragile to allow people in your life that don't have your best interest in mind and are really just in it for themselves.
When do you realize that? Like, how, you're probably worried like the person that you're talking about is listening, and don't think about that right now. Think about like, how does one who's listening recognize when, because sometimes you think it in your back of your head, like, is this person messing with me? Like, are they trying to hold me back? Or like, this doesn't seem right. Mm-hmm. How do you recognize it now being through it that somebody's more has more self-interest than they have your best interest at heart?
I think I've started listening to my gut and how that person, their presence feels to me. So I started to notice certain people would give me a lot of anxiety, and my heart would race and my throat would get tight. And I don't remember where I heard it once, but like that feeling of your throat being tight is like restricting your voice, and it really restricts you having the ability to speak your mind, you know? And so I could feel everything just kind of tighten up.
When that person or these people in the room with you?
Yep. Or I had to be on a call with them. I would get just a lot of anxiety. And then, so as I started to kind of step away from that and my body was releasing a lot of that stress, someone else would enter or a situation would enter again with that, I immediately recognized it. I think before, because my constant state was that anxiety, so that was sort of like my baseline. So I didn't even realize that was not normal. And, you know, going back to cancer and all of that, our bodies and our minds like know when you're in that heightened state all the time, like that's very bad for your body. Yeah. And I think I came to this point where like if I continue in this environment with these people, I think I'm risking bringing cancer back into my life.
Because it's a toxic emotion. It's breeding inside of you. Were you internalizing it, or did you have outlets that you could talk about it?
I didn't, because I don't think I was fully aware of it. It had become so normal that only once I started to kind of decompress and then it would rise up again, and I said, I don't want that. I don't want to live in that state. I want to be in a calm, regulated, happy state, not a stressed, anxious, worried, all those negative emotions. I think long enough, your body starts to really, take all those signals and turn it into something. I think, I'm not a scientist or anything, but I know that that's true because I saw it happen in my own life. And I think initially, if that is true, there was a lot of things going on in my childhood and with my parents, and that I think compiled because there's no history of melanoma in my family. I know I'm fair-skinned, but I think our bodies really hear all of that and feel when you're in that constant state of stress. And I just realized I do not want to have that again.
Is there any amount of money
that
will hold you to that? Yeah, right? So,
nope.
So there were times you were making really good money, probably the most you had ever made in a toxic environment. And you said, there's no amount of money that keeps me here. Yeah. All right.
It's because what do you have if you don't have your health, what do you have? You have nothing.
Yeah.
So why would I take all the money and not be here?
Yeah.
In exchange for, my health.
Absolutely. So what would you tell somebody who's listening who is thinking that right now? Like they're like, oh my gosh, I get that. Like, for me, it's like this thing in the back of my throat that happens. And I actually say this, like when you start to get that thing in your throat where you're like, oh my gosh, this file doesn't feel right to me, like something's going on and I don't want to wait too long before I raise my hand. I'm like, immediately raise your hand and let me know, because that anxiety won't go away until we can just get it addressed, right? So the idea as a leader, in my opinion, is our job is to figure out a way to keep that anxiety down. But if we're the ones that are actually bringing the anxiety into the room, then your advice is you got to get out one way or another. And I believe I never want to lose people. But if somebody came to me and are like, Chris, I like pulling into the parking lot, I have anxiety. I'd be like, then you need to go find your happiness, because that's not fun. It's not fun for anybody. But so you went through it, and so you recognizing it is the best way is just think about that thing in the back of your throat and you said it really good, is like it's almost like an invisible hand choking you and not letting you talk, right? So crazy.
It is crazy.
Um,
I think just listen. You have to listen to your intuition, listen to your body, and rip the Band-Aid off.
So when you look at your business, and now you recognize toxic people, right? Mm-hmm. It's like it's such a powerful tool in your tool belt to be like, okay, that's red flag number one. Keep that out of my business. But how do you build boundaries around it? So since that experience, have you started to build boundaries of like, I'm not letting that person close to me, or I'm going to keep, how are you doing? How are you working that out?
I think I can see it really quickly. And
what do you see really quickly?
It's
be as candid as possible.
It's certain ways they talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way they talk about themselves. I had a conversation this last week with someone that it was like an immediately no. We are not a good fit. Mm-hmm. And I even think that other person knew that. Whatever our energies were, it was never going to work. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was the arrogance they had about themselves. So that I repel. I can't be around that.
Your radar is up.
It's up
for these type of people,
heightened.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
So, my mission is to find people that are not that way. That I feel comfortable and safe, and I believe in them, and they believe in me, and we're here to build something. We're here to come alongside each other, mm-hmm. and it's no one person's better than the other. Like, we are running the race together. And
you've literally worked in environments where your role in the environment, you felt diminished mm-hmm. as a person. Mm-hmm. You were treated as less than equal mm-hmm. than other people. Mm-hmm. Is that a true statement?
Yeah.
And how did you overcome that?
I think when you're new in the industry, that's just, you kind of accept that. Like
yes,
everybody
or something.
Is better than me because I don't know what I'm doing. And then eventually you know what you're doing, and your eyes start to open to, the way this person's talking to me, or this person's treating mm-hmm. me, or even how this person treats other people, or how they conduct themselves in their own life, mm-hmm. And their reputation, and how you being near them and affects your reputation mm-hmm. without you even having anything to do with that. That was a huge red flag when I realized, and people would come and tell me, your reputation is not good because you're in the vicinity of someone that's reputation is not good. That got me, because I was like, I'm just over here doing my best. And
it's guilty by association.
Yeah, it was. So my association of who I will be around will be only the people that I respect.
There you go.
And that I believe in, and they believe in me.
Absolutely.
I think that's been the biggest life lesson in the last year.
So for somebody who's coming up in the industry, and you're actually starting this path where you're building and you're starting to lead people, watching bad management, like literally watching bad management. What are some of the things that you would take away that you would do differently, or that you're doing differently as you're trained? Like, you're training people who have very little experience mm-hmm. in the industry. How do you approach them? Like, is there a certain thing you say to yourself, like, I'm going to do it this way because of the way that I came up?
Mm-hmm. I think I have a lot to learn. Everybody has something they can learn, but I think I come to it just in a humble way. Like, mm-hmm. I'm here to support them as they grow, and I'm not here to tell them every little thing that they've done wrong. If there's a mistake that happens, that's just a learning lesson. They don't show up and want to make mistakes. Nobody does. Mm-hmm. But they're only as good as how much I've trained them. So if they've made a mistake, it's because I didn't train them well enough.
Is that something you ask yourself? Do you go through like a mental checklist? Like, okay, they made that mistake. Did I train them? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's on me.
100%.
Okay, but what was happening when you were coming up to you, when you made a mistake?
It was always like it was my fault.
Yeah.
Immediately.
How did you feel in those moments? Like,
it's frustrating because
this industry is
brutal.
You only learn
Yeah.
by a mistake.
Yeah.
You kill a deal, you kill a relationship, and you're like, oh, never do that again.
Yep.
Right? But that's the only way, because nobody's telling you the landmines that are out there.
Yep. And I call them trapdoors. Like, you don't know that there's a trap door until you fall through it. And so you could read guidelines all day long or before you go to bed at night, but you're still going to fall through a trap door. I can guarantee you. It's just the way this business is. And I'm not saying I didn't learn a lot from my previous managers. I think that the overall vibe was that, you're only as good as your last deal. And so if you put something together and there was a mistake, there's like the grace and the forgiveness is just not there. And I think that if I put it together, that's what I try to give a lot of grace and forgiveness, because we're all just learning.
Yeah, as leaders, I think that as leaders, there's a reactionary thing that happens, right? So, somebody was like, they needed like a 5-point PE the other day because they messed up. And I was like, what do you fucking mean, 5-point PE? I was like, I got to go to my bosses and say, we screwed it, like figure it out, figure out a way around it, Yeah. And then, when I really looked at it, it was like, what the world's not going to end. We're going to be okay. But like, when I look back at it, it was like, what I wish I could have done in that moment is been like, hey, we got you. Because at the end of the day, we're always going to get them. But like making somebody feel crappy, because I'm having an emotional breakdown isn't always, the best thing to do. But like so I try to be better and evaluate those things. But, nobody's perfect. But the idea really is it has to come from a good place. And I think ultimately, if you have stuff in the bank with people, like meaning you're not always like that, then people understand. But I also think what you were living through was just the way of doing business, like from the top down in a lot of ways, You transitioned a couple of times in your life in this business. You started off with a team, and I remember watching your growth. You were like at one company, then you made a move to another company, and then you ended up here at Loan Depot. And I've seen you grow your business and like your social media and your brand and those sort of things. But if somebody was coming up today, like they're at that, let's just say $4 million a year, that they're doing a couple of deals, they're struggling, they don't know how to hunt. One of the things about you is you're an assassin. Like you go out, you're looking, you're shaking trees everywhere, and then you come back to the office, you get your deals, and then you're back out shaking trees. But what advice do you give somebody that's coming up that like, these are the things, these are the 5 steps or the 3 steps or the 2 steps that I would do if I had to start over today? What's the advice you would give them?
Yeah, I think a lot of the reason why people get stuck is they get really in their head. And it comes down to, what will people think of me? And I don't want to make that call because what if they think X? Or I don't want to go to that meeting because what if they don't like me? Or I don't want to go to that networking because I'm nervous. Like, you really have to push yourself out of your comfort zone every single day, because nobody's going to jump out of the phone and punch you in the face. You don't really, I think that going through cancer and having like actual scary things happen in your life, that stuff doesn't scare me. Obviously I do get nervous sometimes, but I think you have to get over that fear of looking silly or getting turned down or not knowing someone or not knowing something. If you don't know all your guidelines, I think a lot of people are nervous that someone's going to ask like a mortgage question, but that so rarely happens. And I always tell them, if you do get asked a question, just say, yeah, that's a great question. I think they just changed something. Let me go check on that and come back to them. Give them lines that are kind of like security blankets that can help them get over. Because I know them because I had to do it to myself and get myself out of these places where I would get stuck in my head, because that's just me, and that's not someone else's issue, but that was what I think held me back a little bit in times where I had slumps and I needed to grow. I was just in my head, and you just have to put your big girl pants on sometimes and get out there.
Yes. But I mean, even today, do you get anxiety for doing an event, or do you get anxiety before you walk into a big room, or do you get anxiety about Monday morning, you're going to do your calls, between the moment that you look at your list to dial the first number, what do you have to overcome in those moments, in those spaces?
I don't think I get that kind of anxiety anymore. And if I do, I have these little hacks that I do.
Okay, that's what I want to know. That's the gold.
So for calls or something, and it's a big list, and it's more so, overwhelming. Like that's a lot of people to get through. I call my favorite person first.
You go through the list, you say, okay, I know that person. Yeah.
And I call the person that's, the easiest to talk to and one of my best friends. And you get the ball rolling, you get yourself moving, and then the rest is just downhill from there. It just keeps the momentum going.
Yeah. Well, it also shifts your mentality.
Yeah.
So if I just hang up with somebody that gave me really good vibes and I got to call the person that I know is not going to have great vibes, I'm taking those vibes with me, right? And then 100%. I call them like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And people actually will mirror you without even realizing they're mirroring you. But if I'm dreading that call and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Then they're going to be like, hey, how's it going? And then it's completely, so the greatest hack of all times that you just said was call the people you like first to get the ball rolling, and then it's all downhill from there. That's beautiful.
Energy is contagious,
Absolutely.
So you need to bring the energy if you know that you're not going to get it from someone. And maybe that's selfish. Maybe I call them to get their energy, and maybe we build it together, and hopefully they get off the call better too. But, I try to bring that positivity, and because they want to talk to someone that's excited and happy, and they don't want to talk to someone that's hates to be at their job on a Monday morning, so.
I don't think this is a thing that, there are two types of people that I deal with. I have like 100 people in my sphere of who I work with, all of different positions and, different titles, that sort of thing. But what I notice is there's two types. There's people who take energy and there's people who give energy. Yeah. And the people who give energy are the people that I'm attracted to. Like, I want them in the room. I'm like, let's go. And then there's people who take it and just rob it and suck you dry. And I try to stay away from those people. And it's just a chemistry thing. Like, I like them. They're great people. And I think they like me because they work here. But it's just like you try to like shelter yourself a little bit from them. But yeah, it's a weird thing, but I try to put people in two categories. Like, is this an energy sucker or an energy giver?
Yep.
And if they're an energy giver, then I want to lean in really, really hard. It's hard. It's just human nature. You can't. Not everybody. You put 100 people, there's no way everybody's going to be an energy giver. Yeah. But on the flip side, now that I think of it, and I've never thought of it this way, maybe the reason why the energy suckers are calling me is because I'm feeding them and they need it. Maybe that's it. And that's the same for you too. But it's the toxic people you just got to keep out.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm just like, I always ask, like, whenever somebody's like giving us a hard time, like, are they an asshole or is it our fault? Like, did we put them in a bad process or are they just an asshole? Because they're an asshole, they got to go.
Right.
But if it's our fault, fix it and fix it fast. Because they're only being an asshole because we put them in this process, But anyway, so tell me from your perspective, you're on a path right now. You came into 2026 on a mission, and I see you already doing it. You're doing events. You're getting your brand out there. What's the goal for you? Where do you want to be? Like as you look at your next couple of years, what's in store for you?
I have volume goals or families I want to help. Like, I do have those, but for me, it's honestly about making my day-to-day enjoyable. And I will work with the people I enjoy working with. And if I can control that and show up every day loving the people I'm with and serving the people that I care about, that's all I care about. Because then everything else will come. It's honestly about making my life enjoyable again, because I think when you have you're in a situation where you're not enjoying that every single day, it's either get out or make it better. And I think I was kind of at that point where I just needed a change, and I wanted to enjoy my everyday again. And I want to show up for my kids happy. I want to get home happy. And ready to hang out with them. You know, that's when you are going through seasons where you're not that way. Like that is my goal. I just want to be in a place where my day-to-day is awesome and I enjoy the people I work with.
I love that. So if you're a realtor, well, let me ask it this way. When you look at your realtors that you want to partner with, or you look at brokers that you want to partner with, or you look at customers that you want to help, what's the like, who are they? Are they women, or are they, not to say you don't want to work with men or anything like that, but who's your target market that you really want to help, that you feel like fulfilled helping?
I think it goes back to what we were just talking about, the energy thing. You know, the people that this market has been hard for a lot of people, and there's people that are struggling, and I want to come alongside them. And if I believe in them, I want to help them grow. But they've got to put in that effort too. So even if they are brand new or they have hit a slump and they are ready to get going, like, and we can bring that energy and we can help families together, that's who I'm looking for.
So if there's a realtor out there who is just wants to put in the hustle, they got good vibes, they got good ideas, but they're like, I just don't have a partner. Like, they should be working with you, because if you guys can put it together, like, I see you're doing events, I see you're no shortage of being willing to, you know, build with somebody. You just want to find the right people to do that. Are you taking on more people right now? Like, I mean, do you have room to take on a few more realtors?
Yeah, we do have room. But again, I am super selective. And
how does that process work? Sorry, but how does it work? Do you, because I heard recently, through Eric, like, you had a broker call you and was like, hey, we want to do business with you. Which is really phenomenal that you're actually attracting people to you. But if a broker or a realtor is out there that wants to work with you, what's the process like with you? Do you sit down with them and just kind of get to know them? What does it look like?
Yeah, I sit down. We have a call that's kind of like a discovery call is what I call it. And I hear a little bit about how long they've been in the business, ask them what's their vision, like, what do you want to do? What's your goals? And it actually becomes very clear, like, do they have a vision? How they talk about their goals. And if it starts to look like, you know, we're in alignment, then I will ask them to go to coffee, or I'll invite them to an event. Like, I dig in a little bit deeper. But if it's clear that it's just not a fit, I don't contact them again. You know, like, just don't know that it's going to work, because I can feel it now. I can feel if they're the right person or not. And, you know, my capacity, I'm one person and we have a team and we can continue to grow if there's more and more people like that. But to be honest, there's not a lot of people out there with that that are bringing the heat, you know, at the level that I want to run with them at, and that kind of attitude too.
Well, we want to find them, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, that's the idea, is that, like, if you're cool, and you know if you're cool, like, if you're mean to people, then don't call, but, like, reach out to Corey, because she has amazing ideas. She has amazing platform. She has amazing support behind her and marketing tools that, you know, most people don't get their hands on unless they partner with her. So one other thing that I was thinking about, when you sit down with a realtor, a lot of times they already have a lender. What's the number one reason that they're looking for a new lender?
I think a lot of people have problems with communication with their current lender. And I remember a moment when I was younger that my mom had said to me that I'm not a good communicator. And I think I've overcompensated for that my entire life. And I'm like, you know what? I will be a good communicator. And, you know, I think that's my biggest thing, because I try to put myself in the realtor's shoes. How would they feel if they didn't know about something? How would the client know if they're unsure, or how would the client feel if they were unsure about something? And so I have this kind of heightened awareness of how everyone would feel in a transaction. I try to make sure that everyone's feeling comfortable. So I think that communication is the number one complaint I hear, that they, you know, something blew up and they didn't know about it, or they weren't notified about something, or they give them leads and they never hear back. That's the worst. That is, everybody says that. I give them a lead, they never call me back on it. Yeah. So I think, you know, I have agents that I work with that they send me a lead, and in 30 minutes I have their application and they're getting their documents in and they're like, oh my gosh. But that just is how I would want to be treated if I was a realtor.
Absolutely.
And I have someone that wants to get qualified. Like, let's go.
So you have a gift.
Wait?
You have this gift of putting yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's number one. What is your communication playbook with realtors?
So I remember teaching someone this one time. This is just how I think of it. So if you have a person buying a house, they're kind of in the middle of this circle, and there's all these people that are connected to them. You know, in a transaction, you have the realtor, buyer's agent, you have the listing agent, you have title, maybe you have their husband, or, you know, whoever's connected to that person. So when I contact someone, because they're the client is the customer, we want to make sure they get their keys ultimately, you know. So I'm communicating with them. I start with a call, text, email, make sure whatever way they want to be communicated with, we figure that out. And then as soon as we have some sort of movement in any direction, you know, everybody gets a notification.
Okay.
You know, so I kind of just think about it in that way that, and there's no like pause in between. As soon as I have an update, like everybody gets a notification. So you know, and then everybody has.
Does that come from you or somebody on your team?
It's a mixture. So my assistant helps with that, but you know, it's more like about, it's not so much like, okay, they get one call and then they get a text and it's just thorough communication in all the directions when it's needed.
What if there's no update?
Then they get an update that there's no update.
There you go. Yeah, no update. Yeah, that's exactly it.
I haven't been able to get hold of them yet.
Yeah.
I'm calling again tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so they always know that my mission is to, you know, obviously get the client a home, help the realtor grow their business. You know, so I'm very clear on like what is my purpose and my goal and how I would want to be treated if I was a customer or if I was a realtor.
I love it. I love it. Well, first off, thank you for coming all the way up from Tucson to be here today. It means a lot to me. You have a remarkable story. If somebody wants to do business with you, where are they finding you?
So we're local in Tucson. We have a branch. You can stop by anytime. It's on Sunrise and Campbell. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram.
What's your handle on Instagram?
Corey and Luck.
Corey and Luck. All right. I love it. Okay. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
This was amazing. And then for those of you who are listening, I said it earlier, but if you liked what you heard and you got this far in the podcast, then please do me a favor and just like and subscribe, and we'll create more content just like this. So thank you for listening. We appreciate you.